It has been 9 months since the attempt on Donald Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania. New information has been uncovered that is shocking. I'm going to need you to share this video on social media because most people don't know about this. We have to get the word out. If my information is correct, Donald Trump's life is in danger. When the shooting in Butler happened, I released a video going over the big questions the media was not covering. I will link it in the description down below. It will give you a good overview of what happened on that day. In this video, I want to focus on the new information that has come out since then, because it is so much worse than we all expected. We all know that on July 13th, 2024, Donald Trump was shot at a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, look, there he is.
Because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people.
On top of the roof, over there.
We have criminals, we have drug dealers, we have people that should not be here.
Right on the roof.
It's much tougher than it happens.
Right on the roof.
And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit old, that chart.
The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI did an investigation and put out an official report on October 15th, 2024, right before the election. The report provides the government's official description of what happened. A young, local Pennsylvania man who had seemingly conceived of and executed his assassination plot within days after the former president's rally was publicly announced, had managed, with striking ease, to circumvent the Secret Service's no-fail protective mission. This is considered the lone gunman theory. The government claims that Thomas Crooks acted alone, came up with the whole scheme, snuck past the Secret Service, and took the shot. Everyone in the mainstream media has accepted this as true, and we stopped hearing about it. Pardon my language, but this is a bunch of baloney. I'm going to show you the facts we know that contradict the lone gunman theory. Cell phones. Probably the biggest fact that shows that Thomas Crooks did not act alone was that he had 2 cell phones. One was photographed on the roof next to a remote transmitter connected to an explosive device in his car. It is unknown how he got this explosive device, and law enforcement has said that Thomas Crooks had no internet search history showing that he looked up how to make an explosive device. Who gave him this device? They also found a second cell phone in his home with only 27 contacts. None of this matches the lone gunman theory. If he was working alone, why would he need 2 cell phones? He would not need to talk to anyone. Who was he talking to on these phones? I don't understand why we're not hearing more information about these cell phones. These phones could probably tell us everything. Who was paying for the phones? Who was talking on the phones? Where did he go with the phones? It's very curious that we've heard no new information on these phones. Video footage. People have been reviewing the video footage from the rally and have noticed some interesting things. I'm going to ask you to put your detective hats on. I'm going to show you some video and see if you can spot anything that seems strange. We have all seen this footage of Trump being escorted off the stage. The agents huddle around him and take him off. We see a gaggle of female Secret Service agents. They're running around like a bunch of chickens. Do you notice anything unusual? Who is this bald man? He makes hand signs to someone off screen. These are pretty standard military hand signals, so I'm going to play the video again and decipher what he's saying. Stand down. Hold, that's the sign for freeze or hold. You, he's pointing emphatically at someone. So he's telling someone to stand down. Why is he doing that? He does not seem to be paying attention to Donald Trump at all. It seems like he's trying to stand down a military operation in the middle of an active shooting incident. This is very strange. Someone should question this man as to what he was doing. Now this video clip continues, but it's very difficult to find online. It's almost like it has been scrubbed off the internet, but it does exist. ABC News had a 6-hour live broadcast on that day, and during that live stream, you can see the extended version of this clip. What you will see is that there's a soldier in front of the SUV who points his gun at Donald Trump.
J.D. Vance took to X calling for people to pray for Trump and everyone at the rally. He says, quote, "Everyone join me in praying for our President Trump and everyone there. I hope everyone is okay." We also heard from Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who is also on the short list to be a potential running mate.
This is also very strange. Those of you who know about gun safety, you never point a gun at someone unless you intend to shoot them. This is very bizarre. Let's watch it again. The soldier talks to someone on his radio, and after he receives orders, he points his gun at Donald Trump. And then he lowers his gun, he talks on the radio some more, and then he runs away. Why is the news not talking about this? Who was that man? And why was he pointing his gun at Donald Trump? And then, why did he run away? Something does not add up. The gun. Another thing that does not make sense is the gun.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Mike for the new folks, and today we're going to be walking through the rifle that Thomas Crooks reportedly used to attempt to assassinate President Trump. This right here is pretty darn close to the rifle he actually used. There's going to be a couple differences, and I actually have a review up of the base rifle that he used. It was a DPMS AR-15, an Oracle, either A2 or A3, depending on which news source you actually see. So as of yesterday, the FBI actually published the photos of the rifle that was used. We have seen several screenshots. If you guys have watched my channel and all the videos I've done on the incident, I rolled in a bunch of different screenshots throughout the several videos that we've done of the rifle, offering some hypothesis as to what it could be.
The lone gunman theory claims that Thomas Crooks somehow outsmarted security and snuck the gun into the event.
In my original video, I think it was the second video I did in this series, where I talked about storing the rifle and how maybe he got it up there. At that point, all we had seen was the backpack that was on the roof based on body cam footage. So I didn't have the exact dimensions of it. I had to find a huge backpack that I had to actually conceal it in. Now, this pack right here is from Vertex. I'm sure some of you guys know exactly what it is, the model. You can comment down below, but this is a very normal sized backpack. And as you can see, no matter how I try to put it in there at whatever angle, about 4 inches of the actual upper receiver is going to poke out. So that begs the question, how did he hide this rifle? From everything we've seen, from the videos I've seen so far, all of the footage shows him without a backpack until he gets up on the roof. Once we see him running on the roof, you can see him throw the backpack.
Now clearly, he did not bring the gun in with his backpack, or he would have been stopped. It seems that someone had the gun waiting for him on the inside. That would mean he is not working alone. Crime scene. The location of the bullet shells do not support the lone gunman theory. We have video of the cops on the roof pointing out some of the shells.
Watch out for shell casings.
2, 3, 4, 5 right there.
Limit who comes up here.
He points out the shell casings, and they're right next to the body on the roof. I'm not sure exactly why he's making such a big deal of making sure everyone knows where the shell casings are, but he's pointing them out. Here's the problem. Here is video of the gun firing. Look at where the shell casings are going. They are flying way far away from where the gun is at. If Thomas Crooks was firing that gun, those casings would not be lying right next to his body. That makes no sense. It makes more sense that either those shell casings were placed there or they were fired by a different gun, potentially from a second shooter. What is even more suspicious is the FBI will not release the full ballistics report. What did the FBI do to ensure that there was a direct match between the alleged gun used and the shots fired? Why will they not release the ballistics report to prove that? When you start to realize that the shell casings make no sense, you start to question the whole crime scene. Let's go through the photos. You have this one where the police secure the roof. You see the body lying on its side. This is presumably when we get the close-up shot of the face. Then we have this photo with the same cops. This is where I start asking more questions. Why is this policeman pulling on the body's arm? Is it normal police procedure to reposition the dead body? Then we have this photo. At some point, the police have rolled the body over onto its stomach and handcuffed his hands behind his back with zip ties. What? Why do the cops keep repositioning the body? And why would they put handcuffs on him? Were they worried this dead person was going to try and attack them? This really makes no sense. Let's go back to the lone gunman theory. It says that Thomas Crooks was positioned at the top of the roof where he had a clean shot of Donald Trump, like this picture here. But if we look at the photo, he is a full body length away from the top of the roof. If he was shot by the sniper, his body would have fallen at the top of the roof. We know he didn't crawl away because there's no blood at the top of the roof. Also, we know that the body was initially on its side. This also would not have happened if he was shot by the sniper. Why would the body fall on its side? Unless maybe he was not the shooter at all. Maybe he was shot by someone else to his side. That would explain why the body fell on its side away from the top of the roof. And then we have the location of the gun on the roof. It is so far away from the body. How does that make any sense? Some people have suggested that it is normal for cops to kick a gun away from a shooter's body for safety. But all the way over there? I don't believe it. How did the gun get so far away? Again, if the sniper shot Thomas Crooks at the top of the roof, he would have fallen right there on top of the gun. I do not see any way how this picture of the lone gunman theory matches at all with this crime scene. The official story makes no sense. Given this information, I'm not convinced that the sniper's bullet killed this person on the roof. I think it's more likely that he was killed by a second gunman. Bullet trajectory. This brings me to my next problem. I have gone over and over different maps and photos from the location trying to map out different bullet trajectories. They do not match with the lone gunman theory. We know that Donald Trump was hit by a bullet in his right ear. We have this famous photo showing the actual bullet as it was whizzing past his head. This photo actually tells us a lot. There was an article written by someone who founded a company to photograph bullets in flight. He analyzed this photo with some shocking findings. According to the length of the streak, the bullet is moving twice as fast as it should be. This suggests that the bullet that hit Donald Trump came from a different location with a different type of gun. This finding matches what I discussed in my last video, that if you analyze the audio of the gunshots from the videos, it sounds like there's at least 3 different guns firing and potentially even 4.
We just have an absolutely different sound between the first 3. There's no echo, it's much further away, it's more muffled, it's just not in the same place at all. But these next ones, very different sound, totally different weapons. Okay, full stop. We have 2 separate weapons. Plus, we have no echoes coming off of the first 3, and then we do have echoes coming off of the next set.
So there are 3 shots to start, and then 5 more. And they sound like they are clearly coming from different weapons and different locations. Let me repeat, you can hear this difference in all the different videos of the shooting. Audio does not lie. I don't see any way that these gunshots sound like they are coming from a lone gunman. This photo also shows us that the bullet was traveling roughly parallel to how Trump was standing. We have this diagram showing how Donald Trump famously turned his head and the bullet hits his ear. But there is a problem with this. Thomas Crook's body was positioned to the left of Donald Trump. How could Thomas Crooks have shot and hit the right side of Trump's face? I want you to try an experiment. Anyone can do this. Hold up a mirror or use the camera in your phone to look at yourself. Now start turning your head to the right. Look at how quickly your right ear disappears from view. You don't have to turn your head that much. So if someone is standing to the left of you at all, they cannot hit your right ear, let alone shoot it. That would mean that Thomas Crooks shot the bullet stopped, went around Donald Trump's head, and then hit his ear. Let's go over the map again. Donald Trump was here. Thomas Crook's body was here. Now remember, Donald Trump was turning to look at a video screen that was behind his right shoulder. He would have had to fully turn to his right to see the screen. That matches the photos that we see. So if we draw a line on the map the direction that Trump was facing, Thomas Crooks was certainly to the left of that line. Now, he was not that far to the left, but he was far enough that I do not believe that the shot is even physically possible. It seems to me more likely that the shot that hit Trump was fired from someone parallel to him or slightly to his right. You could not be on his left and hit his right ear. I think this shows that the bullet that hit Trump did not come from Thomas Crooks, but instead from a second gunman. Now we cannot tell from this photo if the bullet was moving from right to left or left to right. But there are some other potential locations that I don't understand why no one is investigating. I have mentioned before that the water tower could have been a potential shot. But also in the other direction, there is this barn over here. A sniper could have been inside or on the roof. There could have been someone on the roof of this house. There's also this small shed. How easy could it have been to just hide behind this shed, hop up on the roof, and take the shot? But I think an even easier option. Look at all these roads out here. Someone could have just been in the back of a truck. They take the shot and then drive off down one of the roads. All of this is to say, when you start mapping out the trajectory of the bullets, the lone gunman theory does not make sense. Autopsy report. I bet many of you did not know that the official autopsy report of Thomas Crooks has been released. An independent journalist made an official request to the coroner and they had to turn it over. We're going to go through it because it contains some shocking statements. There has been a lot of questions about the handling of the body. First, the FBI left the body on the roof all night long. It has been reported that the coroner arrived on the site at midnight. He left and then came back the next morning at 6 a.m., which was strange. The shooting took place the previous day at exactly 6:11 p.m. That means the body was removed after 12 hours on the roof. Why were they waiting? When the body was finally removed, it was taken to Allegheny County. That's also unusual. The shooting happened in Butler County. Why would they take it to a different county? Some people will argue that Allegheny County has better facilities, but there was nothing unusual required to complete this autopsy. That was completely unnecessary. Just so you understand how crazy this is, the local coroner's office was 10 minutes away. Instead, they drove the dead body 45 minutes away for no good reason. They left the body on the roof for 12 hours when the coroner's office was 10 minutes away. 3 days later, the FBI cleaned off any biological evidence from the scene by hosing down the roof. Then, the body was mysteriously cremated 10 days after the shooting. This is all very strange. When we look at the autopsy report, the first thing we see is who signed it. The autopsy was performed by Ariel Goldschmidt. This man is Jewish. Now, if you watch my channel, you know that I'm a big supporter of Israel. But I'm not naive. Israel has one of the most elite spy agencies in the world. Here's an article about this man from the Pittsburgh Jewish Chronicle. Pittsburgh Medical Examiner helps identify bodies of terror victims in Israel. Apparently, this man was in Israel responding to the attacks on October 7th. And then a year later, this world-traveling coroner happened to be in Pennsylvania and just happened to be the coroner when the body happened to be moved to a different county. Right. Shall I continue? The report says the body is accompanied by a clear plastic bag containing medium-length brown hair submitted as evidence. What? So let me see if I understand this. The police had a dead body at the scene. They took some scissors and cut the hair off the dead body, then put it in a plastic bag. Then they took the dead body and the separate plastic bag of hair to the autopsy. Then they put the hair from the bag into evidence instead of using hair from the body. Is this strange? Anyone out there who knows about police procedures, is this normal? Why would you bring a separate bag of hair rather than cut off the hair during the autopsy? Then it says, the body is that of a well-developed, well-nourished white male weighing 167 pounds, measuring 68 inches, and appearing to be consistent with the age of 20 years. I find this statement unbelievable. There is no way that Thomas Crooks was 5 foot 8 inches and weighed 167 pounds. Here is video of Thomas Crooks walking. He is a skinny 20-year-old. Look at those skinny arms and skinny legs. There is no way he is 167 pounds. Just to put this in context, I don't even weigh 167 pounds. Thomas Crooks was younger than me, shorter than me, skinnier than me, and you're trying to tell me that he weighs more than me. How is that possible? The report goes on to describe the body. It says, the eyes are hazel. I went back to look at the photos I had seen of Thomas Crooks. It looks to me like his eyes are dark brown. What do you think? What about this one? What about this one? It does not look to me like his eyes are hazel. Then I remembered something. This is a photo of Thomas Crooks before the shooting. He was wearing a gray shirt with a bird on the back. This is the photo we have of the body. The dead body is clearly wearing a different shirt. There is nothing on the back of this gray shirt. The autopsy report says, the body is received clothed in a gray t-shirt, demolitia written on front of t-shirt, imagery including eagle symbol and bullet round and writing DR present on the back of t-shirt. Clearly, the autopsy is describing the shirt worn by Thomas Crooks, which says demolitia on the front. But that is not the shirt on the dead body, which has nothing on the back. Why is the coroner describing an article of clothing worn by someone else? Is this coroner lying during the autopsy? Now, I talked in my last video that the body on the roof could have been Maxwell Urich. Maxwell Urich was another suspect at the location on that day that has since disappeared and was never heard from again. I don't understand why no one is looking into what happened to Maxwell Urich. Maxwell Urich previously had gauges in his ear. Even if he had the gauges removed, they would have left large scars. If the body was Maxwell Urich, the coroner would have mentioned the scars in his ears during the autopsy. Instead, the report says the nose and ears are normally formed. It says nothing about signs of gauges in the ears. But let me show you the one photo we have from the autopsy. It shows a massive scar in the ear. Why didn't the autopsy mention this? We can all see the scar in the ear. Once again, was the coroner lying during the autopsy? I'm just going to put this out there. I do not believe the person they examined in that autopsy was Thomas Crooks. Just to recap, these are facts we know that contradict the lone gunman theory. Multiple cell phones, strange things happening in the video footage, the gun not fitting in the backpack, the body in the crime scene being in the wrong place, the bullet trajectory being not physically possible, and the autopsy report full of red flags. Whatever you think happened, I think I have shown that the ballistics evidence and the autopsy evidence does not prove the lone gunman theory. But I think these facts tell us something even more sinister than that. We're all just finding out about this now. Back in October, when all the government leaders issued their official report, they already knew all of this. They had the autopsy report, they had the cell phones, they had the maps, they had the video. They knew all of this, and they still wrote and issued a report about the lone gunman theory, something that contradicts all this evidence. This is so much worse than anyone realized. This was not some small rogue group of people. They were all in on it. They knew. These are people at the highest levels of the US government. The evidence shows that they lied in this report to the American people. This evidence shows these people were trying to win an election by killing their opponent. Many of these same people are still working in and around Donald Trump. I think he's in grave danger. This conspiracy creates a clear and present danger for all Americans. If these people tried this before, I bet they're going to try it again. We know that Donald Trump has directed his team to investigate what happened that day.
It's been 7 months. Why do you think we don't know more about the guy who shot you in the ear?
Yeah, no, well, and the second one with all of his cell phones. So I want to find the answers. I've told them. In fact, today I said, I want to find, we can no longer blame Biden for that one. He should have released that a long time ago. So they are giving me a report next week sometime, and I do believe I'll be releasing. I want to release the report. A lot of people have asked that question. You had one who had 3 apps, 2 of which were foreign, supposedly, and who has the biggest white shoe law firm in Pennsylvania, even though they don't live in necessarily a white shoe area. What's that all about? His law, the law firm. The other one had 7 or 6 cell phones, and I don't have 6 cell phones. And why would somebody have 6 cell phones? So we're going to be releasing a report on that soon, Peter.
But based on what you're saying right there, the lack of information and the data points that you just gave, does that make you think that there's some part of that there's some bigger?
It could be. Well, it makes other people think that. It makes me think it a little bit too. I say, when you have 3 apps and 2 of them are foreign, and you had an FBI that wouldn't report on it, they didn't want to say why, I would say that could be suspicious. And then on the second assassin, you had, and by the way, I have to tell you, Secret Service did a great job on that by spotting him. But on the second one, he had 6 cell phones. That's a lot of cell phones. And a couple of them had some strange markings on them. So, yeah, I want to find out, and I would be willing to release it. I mean, maybe there's a reason that we shouldn't, so I don't want to get too far ahead of my skis, but yeah, I would be very willing to release that. I'd like to see it. I want to see it myself.
As we know, the FBI is being led by Kash Patel and his deputy, Dan Bongino. I, like many of you, have been wondering why they have not been doing anything about this. They've been there almost 2 months. What are they doing? On April 6, Dan Bongino posted this tweet saying, "As I dive back into work, I want to reassure you that nothing that is happening here is happening by accident. Because of the sensitivity of what the FBI deals with, both the director and I have to be circumspect in what we can make public. Bad guys read this stuff too. Neither one of us came here to play games." So he says they've been working on stuff, but we should not worry if we've not heard anything yet. Then this week, a story broke that the FBI was assigning internal agents to provide security detail for Dan Bongino.
NBC News has exclusive new reporting about a first for the FBI. The agency is creating a multi-agent bodyguard team to protect the Bureau's number 2, Dan Bongino. NBC's Ken Delanian has the reporting. Ken, this has never happened before, I think. Why now?
We do know that a notice went out inside the Bureau looking for field agents who would be willing to leave their jobs temporarily and work for 30 days at headquarters protecting Bongino. Now, current and former officials tell me this is going to be expensive because 24/7 protection will require as many as 20 agents who will have to be put up in temporary housing.
This report tells us 2 things. Number 1, they're working on things that are so big, it is putting their lives at risk. And 2, whatever it is that they are doing, it's going to be revealed within the next 30 days. I'm all for being supportive, but they need to start rounding people up and throwing them in jail. The American people demand answers for what happened that day in Butler, Pennsylvania. I think we need to remember that there was an American in the stands that died that day.
Because when those Secret Service agents didn't fire, when those Secret Service agents weren't given the duty and weren't given the budget and weren't given the resources that they needed for Butler, Pennsylvania, yes, President Trump was saved by a miracle. But Corey Compatore's family deserves answers, and Corey Compatore's family deserves to be made whole for the father that they were not able to bring home that day.
Corey Comparatore was a local firefighter who was struck by one of the bullets. We have the footage of what was happening in the stands. All these people sitting in those stands are heroes. When the bullets started flying, they stood there and waved over paramedics so that Corey Comparatore could get medical assistance. Unfortunately, Corey Comparatore passed away that day. His wife watched as he died in front of her. The people who did this are evil. I do not believe that Thomas Crooks was acting alone, and the corrupt people who worked with him need to be held accountable. Now I want to hear from you. I really want to hear what you think about this week's video. Am I the only person who thinks this way? Do you think that the government lied to us? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos. Quick channel update. My video last week was demonetized again. That's 2 weeks in a row. I don't understand why, but YouTube is really cracking down on my channel. When I get demonetized, I rely on the support of viewers who have signed up for channel memberships. If you find these videos helpful, consider signing up on my website, wolvesandfinance.com. For $6 a month, your support helps me to keep making these videos. Thank you to everyone who has joined. I'm Zach from Wolves and Finance. Thank you for watching.